As you might guess by the Apple logo behind me, we are here at the launch of the Apple iPad 2. So what's new about it? Well, before that, what's not new? The screen is exactly the same size as before and it has exactly the same resolution. There's no Retina displays here. However, what it is much thinner and much lighter than the original iPad. It's actually 33% thinner, which makes it around 8.8 millimeters thick. It's actually thinner than the iPhone 4. Predictions that the iPad 2 would feature a Thunderbolt port or an SD card reader were wide of the mark. However, Apple has released a new adapter for HDMI video out. This means you can connect your iPad to your TV in full 1080p. And you can even charge your iPad while it's connected to the TV because the adapter has a HDMI output and an input for your charger. One thing that many people predicted before the launch was that the iPad 2 would have dual cameras, and indeed it does. Now, Apple hasn't given us the precise specification of the camera. However, we do know that the rear-facing camera, that's the one on the back, can record 720p video, while the front-facing camera, which you can use for FaceTime video chatting, only features a VGA resolution. Inside, the Apple iPad 2 features a dual-core Apple A5 processor of Apple's own design. Now, Apple reckons this is 2 times faster than the processor on the original iPad. However, it also says that the graphics on the iPad 2 are 9 times faster than the original iPad. This means you'll get much better high quality graphics in games, but also means it can play video far more smoothly. Now, despite the fact that the iPad 2 has loads more features than the original iPad, Apple is maintaining the same prices, so you'll pay exactly the same amount for a 16GB Wi-Fi version of the iPad 2 as you would the original iPad, and according to sources, the original iPad is now discounted on Apple's store. Unsurprisingly, Apple has also updated the software on the iPad 2. It will be shipping with iOS 4.3. Now, iOS 4.3 features several new additions, one of which includes its personal hotspots. This means you can use your 3G connection on your iPhone 4 and share it with your iPad. Now, this may be restricted by mobile carriers, and we'll need to find out exactly whether they will allow it or not. But if they do, it's a really cool feature for all those iPhone 4 users out there. Apple has also added FaceTime to the iPad 2, which is its version of video chatting, a bit like Skype. And you can use FaceTime on your iPad across all sorts of devices, so you can chat to someone across the world on their MacBook while you use your iPad. And that's the same with iPod Touch and the iPhone 4 as well. Another new feature of iOS 4.3 is that you can customize what the switch on the side of the iPad actually does. This means it either mutes the iPad, so you have no sound, or it locks the screen into a particular orientation so it doesn't rotate when you move the iPad. Now, if you've been a little bit disappointed with the hardware of the iPad 2, although personally I'm not, the software should impress you. First up is Photo Booth, which is Apple's image editing software. This means you can take photos on your iPad or your iPhone, or take photos that you've used on your camera and put it on your iPad and edit them on the iPad. Next up is iMovie. Now, iMovie is Apple's video editing software, and on the iPad it's really quite impressive. You can add all sorts of effects like transitions and text onto your videos, and add background music and even record voiceovers using the inbuilt microphone. You can then send your video to friends, send it to iTunes, or even upload it directly to YouTube. Finally, we have Garageband, which is Apple's music recording suite, and this is really quite clever. You can plug your own instrument into the iPad and then record it and then create recordings using the 8-track editor, or you can use touch instruments on the iPad itself, such as pianos and guitars. Now, Apple has even made it really easy for people who don't actually know how to play an instrument to create recordings themselves using what they call smart instruments. One of the features that Apple was making a big song and dance about was its new smart cover. Now, this isn't a case per se, it's actually just a cover for the screen. And what it does is it actually attaches to the iPad magnetically and then aligns itself directly to the screen. And it also folds into different shapes, so you can fold it over and then use it as a stand for the iPad so it leans over so you can type. Also, when you put the cover on the iPad or remove it, it will take the iPad in and out of sleep. One more revelation about the Apple iPad 2 is that it will come in white and black versions, and the white version, unlike the iPhone 4, will be available from day one of the launch. Now, speaking of launch dates, it will be launching in the US on the 11th of March, however we won't be seeing it in the UK until the 25th of March, and the prices will be exactly the same. To read more about the Apple iPad 2, head over to our website at which.co.uk/technology.